Security systems and processes generate large amounts of information. Buried in these massive piles of data are key pieces of information about the health of your security program. Security professionals spend the majority of their time and keep out intruders, minimize and design, use a variety of unwanted network traffic, detect, preventive network traffic, search for signs. IT organization. The dev operations staff are charged to while they have functional needs. Security systems and processes generate large amounts of information. Buried in these massive piles of data are key pieces of information about the health of your security program. Security assessment requires collecting and analyzing that data on a regular basis. When we design security programs, we often focus primarily on the technical controls that protect the confidentiality and integrity. Integrity and availability of process data. Technical data includes the logs generated by servers, network devices, firewalls, intrusion methods, supporting each of the security processes that an organization puts in place to ensure verification and maintain the secure consistent manner. The trail of those can also take that in reality, consistent evaluation. IT and security. Two privileged actions are the most important tasks requiring management review. To implement those exceptions. However, privileged reviews of all of the organizations conducting these regular management reviews organization of the party program in achieving the amount of jeopardy an organization. The performative security breach, training and awareness events that took place, and the number of shortcomings. Second, the effort to implement audits and assessments provide organizations with the opportunity to evaluate their security controls to ensure that they're functioning properly and effectively protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information and systems. Audits and assessments are similar in purpose and function. Both involve evaluating security controls, reporting on their effectiveness, and making recommendations for improvement. The main difference is in the purpose of the review. Assessments are generally performed by or requested by an organization's IT staff. Audits are formal examinations generally performed at the request of someone else, such as a regulator, executive, or board of directors. When an organization undergoes an audit, the auditors follow a formal audit standard and perform planned tests that are designed to determine how well the organization complies with the standard. No matter what type of audit or assessment is taking place, the engagement should always begin with a planning process that clearly outlines the scope of the engagement, the timeline for completion, and the expected deliverables. Doing this planning up front reduces the likelihood of misunderstandings down the road. Order is an assessment goes through a series that looks at the overall of this work, but the field is diverse, and during this review, assessors obtain a listing of viewed the controls and found that they are both. In addition to conducting regular audits that are relatively into formal written documentation, here's the review process might routinely to a security. Here's a detailed process for managing approval. These types Types of control management techniques ensure and continue to security depends on risks. The line goal is to impart knowledge. Security similar techniques to keep security top of mind for those who've already learned the core lessons or attend classes offered by vendors. There are dangers of phishing. Need specialized skills to hear. We should threats and controls in approach of emerging technologies and blockchain. In technologies, the use of artificial intelligence. We develop cybersecurity options and standards that govern our industry. May have employees to ensure continued obligate act or that environmental compliance language in their contracts in a compliance effort is to conduct a gap analysis. That determines the areas where an organization may educate them about the important security sensitive information to protect their bad organization. The acceptable use digital threat use psychological consensus, scarcity, urgency. There are 6 main reasons that social engineering attacks are successful. Is a little and is a little more. Scarcity include authority. There are 6 main reasons that social engineering attacks are successful. These include authority, intimidation, consensus, scarcity, urgency, and familiarity. Let's dig into each that people will listen and defer to someone who was conducted by Stanley Miller. Had to administer the herd, but once the crowd wait us down, and there'll be a way to consent. Security depends upon the behavior of individuals. Security trainings particularly help technique and attention from students. Posters, videos, email messages, and similar techniques to keep security top of mind for those who've posters, videos, training. Awareness doesn't require a commitment of time to sit down and learn new material. Instead, it uses posters, videos, email messages, and similar techniques to keep security top of mind for those who've already learned the core lessons. Organizations may use a variety of different methods to deliver security training. These may include traditional classroom instruction, providing dedicated information security course material, or it might insert security content into existing programs, such as a new employee orientation program delivered by Human Resources. Students might also use online computer-based training providers to learn about information security introduction, and phishing them to a real different message. User to flag exercises that train employees on attack techniques, role users on new threats and controls. If your training program to cover security training is an important component of any organization's information security program. If employees don't know their security responsibilities, this really is a great way to measure them. Measuring efforts don't need to be prepares you to deal with cybersecurity threats. Measuring security is most effective. Collect on security awareness designed to cybersecurity professionals must also ensure the physical security of facilities under their control. This includes limiting access to those facilities, authenticating employees seeking to gain access, and tracking contractors and other visitors who access the site. Let's begin our discussion of physical security by discussing some of the different types of facilities that must be protected. Data centers are the most obvious locations of concern to cybersecurity professionals. These secure facilities contain all of the servers, storage, and other computing resources needed to run the business. Data center access must be strictly limited to prevent the potential theft of resources and information. Anyone gaining physical access to a data center would have the ability to cause significant because they tend to continuity party to investigate, hold essential network equipment, including switches and patch personnel certification protections. These may include Data centers contain a wide variety of electronic equipment that is very sensitive to its operating environment. One of the major risks to this equipment comes in the form of environmental threats if systems aren't operated in an appropriately controlled facility. Data center environmental controls try to maintain a stable environment that's friendly to electronic equipment. The first environmental characteristic that data center engineers worry about is the air temperature. Electronic equipment generates a lot of heat, and if a data center doesn't have appropriate cooling equipment, the facility can become extreme. You could probably keep heat and 1.8 being vented to draw cool developer as well. When later Laid out in this way, aisles alternate purpose between being a source of cold air or an exit point for warm air. HVAC designers can use this to their advantage, pumping cool air into the cold aisle and pulling warm air out of the hot aisle. Watch for exam questions that cover the hot aisle cold aisle approach without explicitly mentioning it. For example, they might show you a data center layout and ask you where you would place cool air distribution vents or hot air return vents. While heating and cooling concerns top the list of environmental, extinguish a fire before it grows elements, it will go out. Paper, cloth, and in addition to fire extinguishers, data centers are normally protected by a extinguisher. When you take the exam, you'll need to know about the different types of extinguishers and the types of fires that each fights. If you're ever in doubt about a particular extinguisher, you can simply check its about having water may flood the facility. Water from entering to water-based fire suppression. Lowest pipe deprives a fire of heat. Monitor for route it so that a leak wouldn't affect the data center. Similarly, locate your data center in a portion of a facility that's unlikely to be affected by flooding caused by a natural disaster. Use moisture sensors throughout your facility to monitor for the unexpected presence of water in sensitive areas. The last environmental threat that you need to know about is electromagnetic interference, or EMI. Every piece of electronic equipment generates electromagnetic radiation, and this poses two risks. First, the electromagnetic radiation can interfere with the normal operation of systems, causing them to malfunction. Second, if an attacker is able to capture these emanations from a facility, they may be able to reconstruct the keystrokes or other activity that generated those electromagnetic signals. For this reason, data center managers should monitor for electromagnetic interference and consider designing their facilities to minimize outside of classified government facilities. Many physical security control interior factor. Biometric locks use a physical characteristic of the user smart the facility with the exterior required to unlock them. This key may be a traditional physical key, or it may use another authentication factor. The physical locks that you're probably most familiar with are called preset locks. They use a hardware key to lock and unlock. May use another authentication factor. The physical locks that you're probably most familiar with are called preset locks. They use a hardware key to lock and unlock, and they'll only work if the correct key that the lock has been set to work with is inserted. Incorrect keys will not open the lock. If you use physical keys, you should carefully control them with a physical key management program that keeps a strong inventory of keys, tracking who has which key, and changes locks when a key is lost or stolen. Cipher locks are often used on areas where many people require access. They have a physical or electronic keypad, and individuals who wish to unlock the cipher lock must enter a combination to open it. Biometric locks use a physical character. characteristic of the user, such as a fingerprint, retinal pattern, or voice print to unlock the door. Card-based locks use physical cards to authorize access to a facility. One challenge with may be either physical stripe cards, proximity cards, or smart cards. One challenge with must authorize access to a facility. These may be either physical stripe cards, proximity cards, or smart cards. Card-based locks use physical cards to authorize access to a facility. These may be either physical stripe cards, proximity cards, or smart cards. One challenge with unmonitored doors, no matter what type of lock they use, is that they're prone to tailgating, an attack where one user who has legitimate access to the facility holds the door open for another individual who may not have authorized access. Man traps aim to prevent tailgating by using a series of 2 doors. An individual first opens the the exterior door and the interior door. The purpose of all of these controls is to restrict facility access